In today's video, we're going to be running through my transfer plans ahead of Game Week 17 and letting you know the best picks ahead of this game week. Now, before we dive into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as we are trying to hit 11,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it is only possible with your guys' amazing help. First off, let's take a look at how my team got on in Game Week 16, and overall, pretty mid game week to say the least, to be honest. It does look like we are probably going to finish on a small red arrow, unless obviously Kirkez absolutely delivers in the game tonight. I am filming this prior to the Bournemouth West Ham game, so unless he goes off, we are probably looking at a small red arrow. But overall, considering we didn't have like a decent captaincy option, I will take that every day of the week to kind of pretty much maintain rank just outside the top 250k. Obviously, the transfer that we brought in last week was Alexander Isak for Visser, sorry, and that has already paid dividends as well with an 11-pointer. Obviously, some other decent fixtures coming forward. Ipswich next week as well. We're kind of a little bit ahead of the curve and starting to build some good value with him already. The other transfer I was looking at was, of course, Brian and Buemo out. We decided to keep him. I'm very, very happy that we did, as he got a 10-pointer. Two okay-ish fixtures as well against Nottingham Forest and Brighton within the next few weeks. So I do feel in quite a privileged position to still be owning him as well. Obviously, there are two problem players within the side, Aït-Nouri being one of them with him suspended and Wolves' fixture runs taking a turn. And then the other one is going to be Matheus Cunha. It is looking like a ban is probably coming sometime soon. I'm hoping it is after the Leicester game, because that makes my plans a lot easier. However, knowing the way this season's going, it probably is going to be before the weekend's games that ban will be in place, and obviously Cunha will miss out as well. João Pedro has also been a little bit of a problem in recent weeks as well, not really delivering, and obviously kind of playing left wing back for large parts of the game on Sunday. So he is starting to also become a problem, but he isn't suspended, so he'll probably last a few more weeks. Obviously, I do have some transfers in mind, obviously, to kind of use this week. However, I did just want to highlight that if I decided to keep my team as is, let me just quickly switch to that one. If I decided to keep my team as is, I don't hate it, and realistically this would rely on obviously Cunha not being banned, but I realistically could hold this team for like one more week. Konsa against City on paper, like most people will be like, no, you can't do that one. City look woeful at the moment, genuinely woeful, and it would not surprise me to see maybe Villa get a clean sheet or at least something out of that game. So maybe playing Konsa and maybe taking free transfers into the following week might not even be the worst decision in the world. Obviously, this would rely on Matheus Cunha being available for selection. I think arguably this would be a route I am considering as well, because Aït-Nouri, then I probably could replace him for Munoz, who I'm really, really keen to get into the side. Obviously, he's suspended for this week, so I can't go and bring him in this week, which is very, very frustrating. However, if I was to do this tactic and just play Konsa and roll to free transfers, it means I would then be able to go and get Munoz as well. Probably would be able to get Cunha out as well for a decent forward as well, some that we are going to be looking at over the next few weeks as well. But that's one of the options. Let me talk through some of the other players that I am obviously thinking about potentially picking up over the next few weeks, or at least this week, should I say. Obviously, the cheap defenders, Hall, Colwell and Robinson are my three favourites, with me already owning Kirkez and, of course, Munoz suspended. Now, all of them could be absolutely fantastic assets to go and pick up. For me right now, my favourite is probably Robinson, purely down to that attacking threat that he offers and decent fixtures coming up for Fulham as well. Hall also has that attacking threat, but as you can see, the fixtures are a little bit more difficult, I would say, from a defensive and kind of clean sheet perspective. With, of course, Fulham having Southampton at home and Bournemouth at home, I feel those could be very, very good fixtures, not only from an attacking standpoint, but also for those defensive standpoints as well. Fulham currently the best team on this list as well for expected goals conceded, and Robinson the second best on this list, should I say, for expected goals conceded. So I would put him as my favourite. Colwell probably in second, just purely down to the fact that I could very much keep this guy to the end of the season. He would be a set and forget transfer in that cheap kind of bracket as well, with the long-term good fixtures that Chelsea have had, obviously just rotating around his more difficult games anyway. So he would probably be second, and then Lewis Hall probably would be third. on that list. In terms of other players that I'm obviously taking a look at, it is in that forward area if, of course, Matheus Cunha does get suspended. Nicholas Jackson is top of my priority list. I really want to get this guy in. Again, looking at how good that Chelsea fixture run is, looking at how well he's been performing as well, not only just in the past 5 game weeks, but also this season as well. Absolutely phenomenal data from him so far this calendar year. His per 90 data, absolutely excellent. Like I said, those fixtures just keep on coming and are just a really good point to buy in to the Chelsea assets, whether that's Palmer, Jackson, Colwell. It's a really good point to be buying in with great fixtures on the horizon. And like I said, the form that they're in, and obviously now Chelsea being a little bit of a title contender as well. For me, Jackson does make complete sense. However, if I was to get Jackson in, I'm going to have to do quite a bit of surgery with the side. And I'll show you, obviously, what that would require if we were to go and get Nicholas Jackson in and obviously make some moves as well. I can't just simply do a Jackson to Cunha switch. I think if you've got the money to go and do that, I think that's perfectly acceptable and perfectly fine. Unfortunately for my side, I don't, so we do have to get a little bit of creative with our transfer strategies. The other option I was looking at was Chris Wood. I think the only problem is I don't really fancy him against Everton away. I think he probably could get something out of the Brentford and Tottenham. Again, this player as well has also been exceptional so far this season and has delivered quite well for a lot of people's teams, but I would still prefer to have Nicholas Jackson and Isak over Chris Wood for me. So I do think it might be worth potentially doing a little bit of surgery with the side to get it into a place that I obviously want it. Kind of moving on to our final potential 2 targets, and it is within that cheap midfield bracket. Obviously, you saw that we had Bryan Mbeumo. The next 2 fixtures aren't bad, but after that I probably would start to maybe think about potentially moving him on with Arsenal and Liverpool on the horizon as well. And Ahmad and Enzo at their price point are delivering exceptionally well for their owners over the past 5 game weeks. Both of these players involved in a lot of the good things that both of these sides are doing. Both have decent fixtures, as you can see, coming up over the next few weeks. Both, I would say, leave a little bit to be desired in terms of their underlying data over the past 5 game weeks. However, when you are paying a 5.2 or 5.1 million price tag for these guys, then I don't think you mind it being as bad as it is. I do slightly prefer Enzo over Ahmed, purely down to the fact that I think that United still aren't there as a side. I know he had an exceptional game in the Manchester derby, but overall I feel like Manchester United are still not at the races, still not a high quality attacking unit as well that you can rely on. No shot in the first half for Manchester United in yesterday's game, where Chelsea, they look a lot more fluid, obviously within a title race as well, so getting more players for a side that are playing better football, more attacking football, creating more underlying data as well. All that to me seems like I probably should pick Enzo over Ahmed. I don't hate Ahmed, I just think purely down to the fact that Enzo is playing for a better team, a challenging Premier League team as well. That move makes a little bit more sense for me rather than going for Ahmed. But I don't hate either if you want to go for, of course, Ahmed as well. Now let's go and take a look at how that's going to line up for my team in Game Week 17. Okay, wasting no time, let's dive into how my team potentially could line up in Game Week 17 with all those transfer plans that I just have spoken through. Starting off first is the -4 route that would obviously see us bring in Robinson for 8 Nuri, Enzo for Bryan Mbeumo, and then Nicholas Jackson in for Cunha. I think I would only do this one, of course, if Cunha does get himself suspended. That's probably the only way that I would do this. Like I said, I'm really keen to have Nicholas Jackson in the side for the good Chelsea run. Obviously, his data's looked absolutely exceptional as well. I think maybe taking Bryan Mbeumo out, though, ahead of a home fixture could be a little bit catastrophic, because obviously Brentford have been one of the best attacking sides, not only within the Premier League, but within Europe as well at home so far this season. So that one could be a little bit of a blunder on my side. Obviously, Robinson as well coming into the side, I'd be pretty happy to have him within that back line. Anyway, so that's option 1, but that would require me taking a -4. Option 2 for the side would look a little bit of something like this. This, of course, would be if Cunha's fine, we could just make that simple switch, use one of our 2 free transfers for Robinson. Again, that's if Cunha is available. We've obviously spoke through the pros and the cons of all the defenders, and Robinson for me is the obviously standout candidate there, with me potentially looking to go and get Enzo and Jackson within the side, so obviously maybe blocking off that route to Levi Colwell. Still think he's a decent player to go and pick up though, nevertheless. And then finally, The other option that wouldn't require a -4 would be going for Joachim Andersen. He's currently valued at 4.2 million, however, is red flagged at the moment, so it's unlikely that he plays at the weekend. However, if we did go for this move, it would allow me to bring Nicholas Jackson in, use our 2 free transfers. Again, this would mean that Cunha has been suspended. So that's, of course, the move if we don't want to take any minuses and want to keep Brian and Mbeumo. Obviously, there's other cheap defenders that I am looking at to potentially make this move work as well. But Anderson was the standout with some decent Fulham fixtures on the horizon. Obviously, his previous pedigree at Crystal Palace as well. So I think this could be a good move. Obviously, it is heavily reliant on Cunha getting banned if this move was to go ahead, and also heavily reliant on the fact that Anderson has to be fit and available for game week 17. So this one is probably like more towards the extreme end of where my ideas are in terms of transfers for this week. But let me know which option should I go for. Obviously, we had the option all the way back at the start as well, just to roll the transfer, take free into next week if Cunha is fit and available. But let me know down in the comment section which option you would potentially be looking to go for if this was your team. And of course, if you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in, as I will try to answer as many as I possibly can. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 17.